welcome. Thanks for stopping by to the inaugural video of the Country Camera. I'm shooting here today in my workshop slash studio here in central Vermont. I'm excited about this new adventure and launching the Country Camera channel and talking about all things nature and wildlife photography. A few disclaimers: I am not a professional wildlife photographer. Certainly like to work in that direction. I'm an expert at nothing. So hopefully this channel will be geared towards those of us that are just starting our photographic adventures in nature and wildlife. Those that are just starting out, those with maybe a few years under their belt, but still have a lot to learn, like myself. Looking forward to probably learning as much from you folks as what I have to offer to you potentially. I don't plan on delving too deeply into the technical aspects. Technology is obviously changing quickly in all industries, but photography is no exception. I think one of the most important aspects to talk about, especially with new photographers or folks that have been at it, like I said, for a few years, is to not get discouraged. It's easy to get discouraged. It's easy to get overwhelmed with the complicated cameras of today. Frankly, I will never know all of the capabilities. I'm shooting a Nikon Z9 right now. I've been shooting Nikon for a while, but all the major brands, you really can't go wrong. They're all fantastic cameras, have fantastic lenses available for them, but they can be pretty daunting. I liken getting to know your camera like it's learning how to use a new computer, it's learning how to use a new software program, and it's learning how to play an instrument all in one. So there's technical aspects there that you have to know. You have to know some of the capabilities of the camera. And then once you have a basic foundation of that, you can start focusing a little bit more on the artistry of the camera. So that's where comparing it to a musical instrument comes in. So there's technical aspects, there's artistry, there's just a ton of things that all have to come together to make it work, to get that image that you're after. But it's so easy to get discouraged. And unfortunately, I really feel like social media has a lot to do with that. I know we demonize social media, right, wrong, or indifferent. But it's really disheartening to think of people that have gotten discouraged because they've captured a photo that they're happy with, they're proud of it, it makes them feel good. And then like, you know what, I'm going to put this on social media and it's crickets, or you get like one like. And then all of a sudden that image that you were so excited about, that you were proud of, that you were happy with, you didn't get the social media response that you hoped. And you're like, well, my photo's garbage. I'm garbage. I'm a lousy photographer. And why am I bothering? So that's really sad to me. If something makes you happy, just be happy with that. You don't need the public affirmation. Just be satisfied enjoying what you're doing. That's really an underlying message here that I want to underscore, and I'll probably repeatedly underscore. And I'm guilty of it too. I'll post a video on a social media and I think it's a great video, and it doesn't do well on social media, and it makes you question your abilities, it makes you question your photography. Don't fall victim to that. Just do what makes you happy. Be happy doing it. Just enjoy it. Understand that there's going to be ups and downs as you learn. And more importantly, understand that you're going to progress fairly quickly with your photography as you learn the technical aspects, as you learn what works and what doesn't work, things about composition, lighting, camera settings, all of that stuff that has to come together. But it takes time. And, you know, when I first bought my first sort of professional camera, which was a Nikon D810, that was a huge leap for me. And some of the early images I took with that, I was like, oh my God, these are amazing compared to what I had been using and shooting and getting for images. And so this was probably 6 or so years ago when I started that. And some of the images I took, I'm like, oh my God, these are it, I've arrived. And, you know, I sent them out, I got them printed, I got them framed. I'm like, oh, these are fantastic. And not to speak down about my abilities, but just a couple of years later, I look back at those photos that I printed and framed, and I was so proud of, like, wow, those are those are garbage. So, and it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. I'm okay with that because I feel like I'm progressing. And I don't know, maybe a few years down the road, all these pictures you'll see behind me, I'll do the same thing. It's like, wow, I thought those were good. But that's okay. That's part of the voyage. That's part of the enjoyment of photography is progressing, getting better at your craft, getting better at what you do. But boy, underlying all of it, I just really hope you enjoy the journey. It's not a destination. It's a journey, and just every step of the way matters. And for me, it's not just nature photography and wildlife photography. It's the experience. So just getting out in the wild places, like I don't know if I mentioned, but I'm here in central Vermont, and I do most of my shooting in Vermont. I'm not traveling to exotic places, nor nor can I afford to do so. But it's just finding the beauty locally, the beauty within your own state, the wild places within your own state, the wildlife within your own state, the landscapes within reach, close by. It's in my case, I'm blessed that I live in a fairly rural setting here in central Vermont. It's a farming area. It's a beautiful area. The farms are gorgeous themselves, and then sprinkle in a little foliage or snow in the winter and the changing seasons. We're at the end of April right now. It's a beautiful day out. The buds are coming out on the trees, and pretty soon the apple blossoms. So there's a lot to take in. There's a lot of photographic opportunities here in Vermont. But again, it's the experience of just getting out there, getting out in the woods, seeing the wildlife. And, most cases, we're not talking, at least in my experience, it's not Yellowstone. It's not the Lamar Valley, and you see these amazing images of wildlife and the diversity of wildlife. But then you pan back and you realize that there's 250 other photographers lined up on the road taking the same image, potentially of the same animals. And I'm not knocking that. Those are certainly on my bucket list. I would love to go out there and spend some time with the photography out there, out west. But to some extent that detracts from the experience, in my opinion. And again, I'm saying that not having done it. But what I do, just going out into rural Vermont, finding places, in the backwoods, away from the crowds, that's a big part of the experience for me. And just being out there and not hearing the sounds of machinery, the sounds of the normal daily hustle and bustle, and just unplugging and being present in the moment, in nature, with no one else around, that's enormous. And I think it's even more important in today's climate. There's just stressors everywhere. You turn on the news, you turn on social media. It's just, you're being bombarded every day. And, not that those things aren't important, but you can really literally make yourself sick worrying about everything that's going on globally right now. And finding these outlets that just lets you exhale a little bit, brings you back to a baseline, offload some of the stressors. And there's been a lot of times where I've felt like the weight of the world was on my shoulders for one reason or another. But going out into the woods with a camera, maybe capturing some amazing images if you're lucky, you're just not the same person when you leave the woods that day. You've offloaded the stress, you've offloaded what you thought were really important things that were weighing you down. And after having observed nature and in its own setting, at its own pace, you change at least temporarily. So it's good for you. It's good for you to get outside. It's good for you to get out in the wild and kind of reprioritize things, be present in the moment. And that's really one of the big joys of nature and wildlife photography for me. Now, Vermonters, and maybe New Englanders in general, have a reputation of being practical, frugal. We're not afraid to save a dime where we can. Photography is expensive, depending on what level of equipment you want to get. But if you want to get some professional level equipment, which yields professional level results when used correctly, it's expensive. So I am all about saving a dime where I can save a dime. And one of those areas is that I discovered is lens covers. So Roland Pro makes some great lens covers, lens coat. They're nice. They're nice products. They do what they're supposed to do. They protect your lens. And if you spend thousands of dollars on a lens, dropping a little bit of money to protect the lens is not a bad idea. But one of the hacks that I discovered, and it's really worked pretty well for me for a lens cover, is this. This is the Nikon Z9. I just picked up the 180 to 600. I'm not going to do a product review here. There's a ton of product reviews out there, and I think so far my experience with this lens has been pretty spot on with most of the reviews that I've seen on it. But it's a DIY lens cover, lens coat. It protects, it's separated so all the moving parts are still functional and accessible. And probably all said, maybe $2 to cover that instead of $150 for a lens coat, lens cover, lens protective sleeve, whatever you want to call it. And what I used was this. It is basically a stretchy, non-adhesive bandage type material, available on Amazon. And I think I got a package of 10 or 12 rolls of this for, I want to say $12. And you have enough of it to do multiple lenses. I also did the legs on I've got a big tripod, did the legs on that, got those all camoed up and padded up for dirt cheap. So one package, I've got a lot of mileage. I still have some left over. So yeah, you can go out and you can spend $150 or whatever it is for a good lens, a protective lens cover. I'm kind of cheap. So if I can do it and have it do pretty much the same function and protect my lens for $10, yeah, I'm going to do that. I can't, that's me. I'm not going to tell you to go out and do it. I haven't had any problems with this. I haven't had it like discolor my lenses or anything like that. I certainly hope that doesn't happen. Hasn't happened yet. I have no reason to believe that it will. Again, there's no adhesive on this. It just kind of sticks to itself. At the very end where I finish wrapping it, there's just a little piece of camo duct tape there because the edges will kind of turn up once in a while. So that little piece of tape just prevents it from coming off all the way. Easy to put on, easy to take off. Protects the lens. Yeah, just another cheap hack that works. All right, quick look around my studio, and it's a mess. It's always a mess, so that's really nothing new. Esterly Speed Matte Cutter has been awesome. That was a big step up. Burton snowboard. Why wouldn't I have a Burton snowboard in my shop? It's Vermont. Both kids, both of my sons, avid snowboarders. It's a DIY projects. I make some of my own frames. Again, not an expert woodworker, not a professional woodworker. So far, I still have all my fingers. That's good. I use the table saw, and that thing's terrifying. So far, so good. But yeah, my frames aren't professional. They're affordable. Just to wrap up the video today, I just wanted to step outside. The horse barn is behind me. We're temporarily out of the horse business for a little bit. That may change in the future, but right now I've got a couple of the stalls in there converted to a woodworking space where I'm making some picture frames. We can certainly post some of that in the future, the process of making picture frames. Love using reclaimed lumber. Again, cheap, it works. Frames aren't amazing, but they do the job and they don't look horrible. Be glad to walk through that process with you folks at some point. Really appreciate your time today. Appreciate you hanging out. If you like the conversation we had today, hit that like button or subscribe, and looking forward to seeing you again real soon. Take care.